Hey everyone, I want to get this quick video out to you. Now, I said I would be exploring some abandoned places over in Southeast Asia, in particular Japan, Hong Kong, and South Korea. This time, I'm in a place called Ma Wan Fishing Village in Hong Kong. Now, normally I wouldn't tell you exactly where I am since, among explorers, if you tell people where exactly you are, you run the risk of authorities coming to shut it down, and you don't want that, then no one can visit it. This place, however, is pretty well known by locals. It's next to Sing Ma Bridge, as you can see right there in the background. It's about a half an hour ride by ferry from Hong Kong Island, and then you have to hike about 20 to 30 minutes to get to this place. It is kind of in the middle of nowhere, and no one really comes here anymore except to walk through this place in order to get to a fishing pier, which is about the only point of attraction left that you would come here for. A little background about this place. It's certainly now a ghost town, as you can tell, but it wasn't always like this. Yeah, a long time ago, there used to be about a few thousand villagers living here back in the 80s, but then around in the year 2000 or so, there was only about 800 people left. Today, the only thing really on this island is more of a housing estate, which was developed by the Sun Hungai Properties. There's about 5,000 families living now on this island. Now, the villagers that were living here, the new development was finished around 2006, and then everyone that were living here were offered new housing. A lot of people jumped at it because, they were given a choice of either, say, a single 3-story home, which is about 2,100 square feet, huge by Hong Kong standards, or they were given a choice of 3 separate units, about 700 square feet each of in a single housing block. Now, in today's dollars, to actually buy the 2,100 square feet building, it would still cost you about $1 million Hong Kong $1 million US to buy it, which is a bargain if you think about what housing prices cost now. It's still considered cheap because this is in the middle of nowhere, but housing prices are just crazy in Hong Kong in general. I'll talk a little bit more about that in another video though. Now, most of the people did take the offer to move into the new housing units, and they left these ones. There is about 5 or 10, I'm not really sure, but there's not too many people still living here. When we walked by, we did notice that some of the houses were inhabited by people, but I don't know why you would want to live in this place anymore, but I suppose people have their reasons. They have their ties to it ancestrally or other memories they might have left behind. It's hard to tell, but if people are happy living there, so be it. It's similar to, say, in Pennsylvania, in the town Centralia, where, the coal mines that are still burning right even to this day makes the entire city kind of poisonous because of the air quality and everything else that's going on. They said the ground is so hot you can boil an egg in some places because of the burning coal fires. But people still live there. There's maybe about 5 families living in that place. You can't really tell why people prefer to hold on, but they'll still do it. A lot of these places were boarded up and we couldn't really get inside. They still light the street lights here because, of course, like I said, they go to that fishing pier and walk through. Other than that, no one really comes here. There were signs that some people were using this place to play war games. That's a huge kind of hobby in Hong Kong where, people buy airsoft guns and they play kind of real-life Counter-Strike, if you will. Everywhere you look, you'll see, government property signs, no trespassing. Most of these are locked up. We were able to get in one place. I'll show you that in a bit though. But for the most part, these are fenced off, and we didn't really want to break into anything. That's kind of against the urban exploration unspoken rules. So of course you don't want to do that. Now, if you do want to go to this place, I do urge you to respect the properties that are still there and kind of leave them as they are. The only way that you would really get there is to go by the Singma MTR station, or you can take a boat from the Central Ferry Pier 2, which is exactly what we did to come here. We took the ferry over, again it was about a half an hour ride and then about a 20-minute hike. Some residents have been complaining that, there are fewer and fewer ways to actually get there. If you think about it, the government's probably doing that because as part of people that are staying there right now, the few families that are left, they don't want them to really go there anymore. So they figure, well, it would make it more and more difficult for you guys to live here. Eventually, the few people that are remaining will leave. This place for a long time, though, it was a center of some economic activity to a certain extent. I mean, it was known at once for a popular seafood spot because of, fishing is a main industry in this town. There's lots of like shrimp drying and there's lots of shrimp paste making farms, but a lot of those are completely abandoned now. Everywhere that we went, though, we saw signs of old fishing. You see some nets right there, those things on the left right there for drying. Right here, this is one of the few places that weren't really fenced in, or at least the fence had been broken already by someone. Wow. Alright, right here, this is the kitchen. Look what a mess it is. I mean, I can never understand why there's so much trash or rubbish left over after a place becomes abandoned. I mean, what can happen for all these walls who lose their paint? I mean, I've heard about in Hong Kong, if you don't leave the air conditioner on, after a few days, your drywall, at least, you'll see mold start growing on it. But in these places, certainly is all stone. These are very, very old village houses. That's a sort of an attic area. Tiny space. I mean, this whole house is maybe 200-300 square feet, maybe. Yeah, creepy chair right there. You can just imagine someone sitting there, a ghost or a villager, someone who refuses to leave. I wouldn't be surprised if some drug addicts use this place for a hideout or just a place to do whatever it is that they do. Now, can you imagine living here for over 100 years or so? Generations of your family just passed down on and on and on. And in fact, just a little background, the people that used to live here are referred to the indigenous people, the ones that were here before even, say, colonial rule by the British. Now, because of that, the small house policy was created back in about 1972 in Hong Kong with the aim of improving the housing conditions for people that were living in the new territories, specifically the indigenous people. The policy was a little sexist in that, well, any male villager who was at least 18 years old and descended from a main line from a resident that lived in here, but going back to 1898, in one of these villages, they would be given one concessionary grant during their lifetime to build one small house. Now, these weren't the ones that were built in the 70s, but later, more of the village estates, the ones I referred to earlier that were 3 floors high or 3 separate stories, those were the ones eventually given to the male heirs to take over. Pretty sweet deal though if you think about it. You're going from an old 100-year-old place such as this to a brand new building built for you in a relatively developed part of town. Well, relative compared to here. Look at this. This is where the old school area was. The community center is right behind where I'm shooting right here. It's just like a scene straight out of, say, Silent Hill. You can imagine a pyramid head coming right out when some mist settles in. I'll tell you what, this part was pretty creepy when we were walking around. It felt like someone was watching us the whole time from one of the windows. No one lived in this part of the village. The part where that is still populated, it's a little bit further back. But look at that. That's a recreational center right there. Someone could be right in there. We wouldn't even know about it. Looking at us through one of those slits in the window. Alright, that brings us about to the end of this video. Now, I apologize, we didn't have time to really walk through and do much more exploring in this village. We had to catch the last ferry to get out of here. I mean, we didn't want to get stuck here the whole night. This wasn't really a place that we planned on exploring, more like we kind of stumbled upon it as we were walking by to visit some friends in the area. Thanks for watching, everyone. Throw me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I have some more in-depth videos for you coming up as soon as I get around to editing them. I have Suicide Forest in Japan, and then in Hong Kong, I explore a haunted school with what look like signs of demonic worship, and also an abandoned fire station, as well as a very infamous haunted house up upon the peak in Hong Kong Island. This is Travels with a Cat, reminding you to get out there and explore and do your best not to get stuck in the middle of nowhere